Morning, people, back again for another stream. So, guys, as you can see in the title, not again. Mason Mount, Mason fucking Mount, injured again. And you know what? First thing I want to say, about Mason Mount is the fact that this guy, which is very clear, which can't be debated now, Mason Mount is injury prone. He's got the number 7 shirt on his back, and he's on 250 grand a week. Big up Lee Jean for coming on. Um, what an absolute disgrace. What an absolute disgrace. And what I want to see as well, I want to see a lot of these fans have the same energy for Mason Mount, because when it was Anthony Martial, Martial was given so much criticism. He's lazy, he's this, he's that, he's injury prone. You know, let's have it right. He's on the same amount of money as what Mason Mount was on at Man United. And Mason Mount is arguably been out longer and has done nothing in a Man United shirt. And now he's out again. What an absolute disgrace. What I would say is that I've been hearing, obviously there's been an underlying issue with Mason Mount in terms of he's had a pelvic problem. Now, funny enough, actually, when I was at Chelsea, obviously in the academy, I had the same sort of problem. And for those of you that don't know, having a pelvic injury, so I was told that I had a bent pelvis when I was playing, which meant that other injuries would be happening, which is what happened to me. So I had a groin injury and an ankle injury at the same time from the age of probably about 12 to 14. And I was in and out of the treatment room, and that was due to having a bent pelvis at the time. So if Mason Mount has got some sort of pelvic injury, which is an underlying issue, then why the doctors at United didn't see this? And you know what? This is an absolute disgrace, an absolute disgrace. And the fact that he has the number 7 shirt on his back, the fact that he's on 250, more noise needs to be made of this, because I'll be honest with you, this is an absolute disgrace. The guy has spent more time in the injury room than he has on the pitch, and I don't hear too many people talking about it. But again, my channel, I'm here to be talking about the uncomfortable truths, because let's be honest, if Mason Mount was an Anthony Martial, if he was a Fred, if he was an Eric Bailly, these things will be coming out a lot more. But why is it that Mason Mount is getting away with it? You're not going to hear these pundits, you're not going to hear the media bring these things up, And if I'm honest with you, an absolute shambles of a club, to not identify that Mason Mount has a long-standing pelvic issue, which is causing all these injuries, again, is it's neglect, really, because you should have been aware of this. And the fact that now he's come to United and they've given him the number 7 shirt, 250 grand a week, and the guy very rarely is on the pitch and doesn't contribute to absolutely anything, a disgrace. Whoever signed this deal off, an absolute disgrace. As I said, guys, as I just mentioned, I've had problems in terms of pelvic, so I do understand the sort of injuries that can come from that. But if I'm honest with you, how Man United have missed this is nothing short of a disgrace, And now he's out again, and how long is he going to be out for? I'm hearing that, if he does go for surgery, which, if I'm honest, United need to find a way of just terminating his contract. But I heard if he does go for surgery, you're looking at about 6 months out, which, again, is unacceptable, And whoever signed this deal off, they need to be seriously questioned. I just hope whoever signed this deal off is not at the club no longer, because this has been nothing short of a joke, And as I said, I want to hear a lot of these fans have the same energy that a lot of these fans had for Anthony Martial, because Mason Mount has done nothing at the club. He's on the same wage, and he's been out just as much as what Anthony Martial was, So I want to hear the same energy being applied, because I'll be honest with you, it's an absolute disgrace. that he's out again. You know, how can you come back for one game and then all of a sudden, you know, you've done another injury? Whether that's been done in training or not, I'm not too sure. But yeah, it's an absolute disgrace, man. Fed up with this nonsense. But guys, yeah, if you're in there, as I say, and you want to make any comments on Mason Mount now being out again, guys, be sure to put that in the comments in the chat. As I said, guys, if it's your first time in there, make sure you smash that like button and make sure you subscribe to my channel at Gav Goes In. Big up Jack Doherty. Big up from Reading. Yeah, big up, bro, for coming on. That guy Ali says, "Yo, bro, there's a spider on a bug or wall or Smith on your wall. I swear I saw something." Nah, it's not, man. I don't know what you're talking about, to be honest. But big up for coming on. Yeah, big up Lee Jean, man. Listen, it's been a disgrace, man. This guy, how he's injured again, you know, is laughable. You know, it is laughable. Surely, you know, if he's not ready, you know, properly ready to come back into the squad, why are they risking things? Because I don't understand how he can come back and he's injured again. You know, it's yeah, it's ridiculous, man. Yeah, I'm just fed up with this, you know. Man United at the moment are the biggest laughing stock in the league because I don't understand how you can have a guy that's inherited the number 7 shirt. And again, guys, just going through the list of previous number 7s to show what a disgrace this is. You know, you had the likes of George Best, Brian Robson, David Beckham, Eric Cantona, Cristiano Ronaldo. I'm not even gonna put the likes of Michael Owen, Antonio Valencia in these conversations because these guys should never have had it in the first place, you know. And now we have to look at Mason Mount with that number on his back, which is an iconic shirt. And the guy spends half his time out injured, you know, and isn't the level anyway. So yeah, it's a joke, man. It's an absolute nonsense. I'll tell you that for free, man. Yeah, it's dumb. So Jack Doherty says, "How old are you?" You'll be surprised if I tell you, man. But I'll leave that as a mystery. But yeah, guys, big up for coming on. As I said, if you guys got any other comments to put in, let me know, man. So Mason Mount out injured. And again, how long is he going to be out for? Because I'll be honest with you, if he's out to the end of the season, which I think it just needs to be, that now, because I don't understand how you can be out for that long and then you're out injured again. And then what are you going to do? Come back after a couple of games and then risk something again? You know? And as I said, if he has got an underlying pelvic problem, it does explain why he's getting these injuries. As I said, I've been the beneficiary of that. But, you know, these doctors in place should have identified this. You know, it's an absolute joke, man. So Lee Jean says he don't deserve it. How somebody else deserves it because he's been out for a long time. Or something they don't want to give it to him. Play about to come back now. That's fucking stupid. He doesn't deserve it. How somebody. Lee Jean, if you put that comment again, I'm not really understanding that message. Big up Harry Manley. What do you do for work? So I'm a qualified personal trainer. I'm also a teacher as well. So yeah. Phil Holland says, Gav, please don't go in. Phil Holland, big up for coming on. If you explain a bit more what you're talking about, because guys, there's a few things I want to get onto as well. Obviously the Mason Mount one was the biggest one I want to discuss. And there's a few other things as well that I want to get into. So please don't go in. Is that a reference to my name? Come on, Phil, don't be scared, man. I'm waiting for your comment. Let's see. Right, guys. Antoine Semenyo. What do we reckon of Antoine Semenyo? So the other day, yeah, big up Phil Holland, man. No worries. I didn't take it seriously, man. No worries. But guys, what do you reckon of Antoine Semenyo? Do we think he's a player that United should be targeting? You know, so the other day I done a left 10 options for Man United in this system. And for me, Semenyo isn't an ideal profile for the system that Amarim's playing at the moment. But in terms of what United need they need, well, in them 10 systems, you need basically players that can get in between the lines, you know, players that are creators, or you need ball carriers, you know. So for me, Man United need a mixture of both. I mean, if you can get a hybrid where you've got a player that can get in between the lines and create and is a ball carrier, I think the likes of a Matthias Cunha can do that. Obviously, I've mentioned Florian Wirtz already, you know, which United ain't going to get. Eze can do that as well. So these are the kind of players that Man United need to be targeting for that left 10 position or for the right 10. Semenyo for me is a bit of a different profile, but I think his physicality is something that is probably needed in the squad. Not probably, it is needed in the squad. You know, the only problem is with Semenyo, I prefer the inverted, having a left-footed on the right and a right-footed on the left. So there is other options that I would prefer ahead of Semenyo. But I mean, if you're looking at between 40 and 60 million for Semenyo, it could be a deal that could be done, you know. And I wouldn't be too disappointed if United did go after him. As I said, for me, the top two targets I think United should be targeting for that position. Again, I'm not mentioning Florian Wirtz because that's not going to happen. But I think Eze or Matthias Cunha are ideal in that position. But if you can get a Semenyo in as well, and that's part of a squad, that'll be good business. But again, it's going to be removing the likes of a Garnacho from the squad. Need to get Højlund out of there as well. So yeah, but what do you guys think? Do you think Semenyo would be a good signing for United? And I think as well, Man United need to stop being arrogant, thinking that these kind of players won't improve them, because Man United are not shopping they're not shopping with the likes of Real Madrid, a Man City, you know, a Barcelona for these kind of players no more, you know, because this club is nowhere near the level. So a player like Antoine Semenyo, who's playing for a Bournemouth team, you know, and obviously Bournemouth are doing better than United this season. But you look at players like that would improve the current squad, obviously Man United. So these kind of players, for me, yeah, they need to be looked at for sure. And again, he wouldn't be my top option in terms of the players I've already mentioned. But yeah, I do think players like that need to be seriously thought of, you know. And I think 40 to 60 million is probably what he's going to cost. And I think that's probably fair, if I'm honest, you know. I think if United can get him for 40 million, I think they would have done well, especially in this current market. So yeah, I wouldn't be too disappointed, but there is other options that I would prefer. But guys, what I want to get onto, you know, I've obviously there's a couple of news that has broken in the last last hour, shall I say? And that is Bruno Fernandes. I see Bruno Fernandes as one player of the month, you know, and I'm not going to lie, I'm shocked. And this is what I mean about these player of the months, how they're awarded, you know, because a lot of it's popularity. You know, a lot of these people that are giving their opinions on who wins player of the month, these people are not watching football. You know, they're just watching the highlights and going off a lot of opinions from pundits, you know, and media. Because I've watched every Man United game and he hasn't been the best player. You know, what's been happening is that he's been getting numbers, and these numbers are fooling people. That's what's been happening. And I'm gonna go through Bruno's numbers because I've written it down, and I'm guessing that the award has been given because it's been based in March. That's what I'm guessing. But even if we go on to February, yeah. So Bruno Fernandes in February, you know, So they lost 2-0 to Palace. And by my memory, he had a poor game. So there's no goal involvement there. Tottenham, they lost 1-0. There's no goal involvement there. And again, a very underwhelming display from Bruno Fernandes. Okay, so that's the 2 games in February where he's had no goal contributions and 2 poor performances. And again, I need to know if it's done from February or from March. My guess is that it'll be from March, which there was 2 league games in March. So we go to the Everton game. United draw 2-2 with Everton. Bruno Fernandes scores in that game. He scores a free kick in actual fact. And again, you can fault Jordan Pickford for his positioning, or you can fault the wall. But fair enough, Bruno scored a free kick. And then against Ipswich, he was on the corner. No, sorry, he was on the free kick that was converted by the Ipswich defender for an own goal. And then he was on the corner, which Maguire scored from the corner. So if we're looking at February, Bruno Fernandes has had 1 goal, 1 assist, and the own goal I don't count as an assist because he just put the ball into an area and it was an own goal. So February alone, he had 2 goal involvements in 4 games. 1 goal, 1 assist, we count, yeah? And to be fair, the performances he put in, Palace and Tottenham, from what I remember, he wasn't good. The Everton game, he was average, but got a goal. The Ipswich game, he was just on set pieces and just had an average game. So 4 games there, he wasn't great, and he got 2 goal involvements, yeah? If we go on to March, yeah? Arsenal game, he scored a free kick. And again, if we're being picky, we can say that the referee played a part in moving the wall back, the goalkeeper's positioning. We can be picky. But fair enough, he scored the free kick. Against Leicester, and bearing in mind, Leicester are a poor team, yeah? He scored, obviously, the 3rd goal. The goal that Højlund scored was technically not an assist because if you look at the ball that he played, which again is a simple ball to play down the line, it's not like Højlund finished it first time, yeah? And again, it was poor defending, but Højlund took another, 3 touches to then get himself into the box and then finish. So technically, that's not an assist, but in today's football, for what they give assists for, is a joke anyway. And then the last one, who scored the other goal? Trying to think. Guys, if anyone remembers the other assist in... the Garnacho goal. That I'm hoping they didn't give him the assist for that. Because if you actually watch that game and you watch that bit of play, Bruno just sticks his leg out to inadvertently stop the ball from going past him. And it happens to fall at Garnacho. So technically, that's not even an assist. And then obviously, Garnacho finishes it. So if we're going through just March, yeah, Bruno Fernandes has what I would call one goal and no assists. Because the assist to Højlund isn't a direct assist. And the assist to the assist for Garnacho's goal wasn't technically an assist. So we go through it again, guys, because I need to, because a lot of these things don't get spoken about, and a lot of these things don't get spoken about, and it's one of them things where you think to yourself, these people are not watching the game. Clearly, they're not watching the game, and again, we'll go through it again. So in February, Palace lost 2-0. Tottenham lost 1-0. No goal involvements there. Everton, he got a goal. Ipswich, it was an own goal and then it was an assist from Maguire. So the own goal I don't count because he put the ball in the area and the Ipswich defender happened to get his head to the ball. The Harry Maguire assist from the corner, fair enough. So 2 goal involvements in February. In March, 1 goal, fair enough. And the Leicester game, he got a goal, and the other two I don't count as assists. So we're looking at 2 goals, 3 goals and an assist, and that's from February and March. So a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, total of 6 games. Yeah, he's had 4 goal involvements, which is 3 goals and an assist, and that's enough to win Player of the Month. Guys, it just shows you that the level's dropped massively, because what you're getting Player of the Month for now, yeah, is ridiculous. And again, I've watched every single game Man United have played this season, and I can honestly tell you now that he hasn't been good. But yet he wins Player of the Month. And this is the problem, guys. This is what you're facing. You know, the levels have dropped so much. You know, you've got people that are, giving these opinions, and yet they're not really doing their research. They're just doing it because he's a favoured player in the media. That's the truth, you know. And that was something, guys, I need to touch on, because I don't really understand how he's got Player of the Month. And again, if they're gonna try and base it on his hat trick, which he can't, because obviously it's in Europe, you know, it's a joke, man. But yeah, this is what we got to deal with. But moving on, obviously news that just broke in the last half an hour. Kevin De Bruyne to leave Manchester City at the end of the season. I mean, to be honest with you, it's not really a surprise, because if anyone's been watching Man City as of late, Kevin De Bruyne is declining. You know, he's not having the same influence that he used to have on them before. And I think they need to be bringing through, obviously, younger players to come through and obviously take over the mantle, you would say, in that team. And for me, that number 10 position now is going to be interesting, because I've always said this: Jack Grealish needs to be playing in that position, you know. But you're going to have Grealish, Foden, obviously Omar Marmoush is going to be playing as a striker because Haaland's out for the season now. So you've got Grealish, Foden, that are going to be vying for that position, you would say. For me, Jack Grealish is better than Phil Foden, and Jack Grealish needs to be made that number 10 to going forward for me if he does stay. Or even, or for me, this is what I can see, you know. And again, I hope I'm wrong, because although I would love to see this player in the league, but I think this opens up that position for Florian Wirtz. And if Florian Wirtz comes to Man City to replace De Bruyne, yeah, big up gamer, bro. Big up for coming on, man. If Florian Wirtz comes to Man City and he's the direct replacement for Kevin De Bruyne, I'll tell you now, Man City will be on their way back to be dominating. I'll tell you that for free, you know, because you've got Florian Wirtz, who's a free kick expert, you know, dead ball specialist. You know, he gets goals, he can run with the ball, he's technical, and he'd be the ideal replacement for Man City. So it will be very interesting to see if Man City are going to go back, if Man City will go in the market this summer and get De Bruyne's replacement, you know, because I don't think Foden is the answer there. I think Jack Grealish is capable, but I think they're moving on De Bruyne in the summer. They need to go and get a Florian Wirtz for me. I think it's ideal. You know, I think Oscar Bob being back as well is a great is a great news for Man City, because Oscar Bob, to be fair, is a top player. And I think if you can have Oscar Bob and Savinho battling for that right-hand side, 2 left-footed players inverted, and then on that left-hand side, you've got, for me, is a problem, because Doku's not good enough. Grealish does play out there, but there might be a space in that 10. Or for next season, if they got Grealish on the left, if they keep him, and then they've got Florian Wirtz playing in that 10, and then the Savinho or Oscar Bob on the right, and then they've got Marmoush or Haaland, or Marmoush can play in the 10 on the left. They're going to be a problem. They'll be back. So I think the fact that De Bruyne is going end of the season, I think that's great news for City, because if City get Champions League this season, for me, they just need to go and get Florian Wirtz because he's the ideal replacement for that position for them. Guys, let me know what you think about Kevin De Bruyne. Do you think Florian Wirtz is the ideal solution for him to replace him in that Man City side? Yeah, hey, is it hey you? Yeah, bear me 1 minute, man. So do we think that Florian Wirtz is the ideal replacement for Kevin De Bruyne in the summer for that position? Because I think Rodri coming back as well. Having a midfield of Rodri, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen to Bernardo Silva if he's going to be playing in there. I think Bernardo Silva's future now, I think, is a central midfielder. I think with what they've got with Oscar Bob and Savinho on that right-hand side, I think Bernardo Silva will be more suited to playing infield. You know, if they've got like a Bernardo Silva, Rodri midfield, obviously Nico Gonzalez as well, and you've got Florian Wirtz in the pockets or Jack Grealish, Foden. They've got loads of options, but I think Florian Wirtz is the ideal solution, man, to replace Kevin De Bruyne for sure. Haj you says, what would you rather, going with Mike Tyson in the ring for 12 rounds or put your mum in the cage with Conor for 2 minutes? What is it? Is it your mum or someone else's mum in the cage with Conor for 2 minutes? Difficult question. So if it's your mum, I don't know. How would you feel about your mum going in the cage with Conor for 2 minutes? Would you be happy with that? How would you feel if your mum went in the cage with Conor for 2 minutes? So you'd be happy if she went in there for 2 minutes for $1 million? That'd be mad. I don't know, man. Maybe going 12 rounds with Tyson. You know, the Tyson now, I would say, yeah. Yeah, a bit of a weird question, man. But sometimes you've got to try and flip it on these people to see, to let them answer the question themselves. But if we're talking about Mike Tyson now, 12 rounds, obviously you probably go with Mike Tyson for 12 rounds, I would say. But yeah, weird question, but yeah, I answered it for you, man. But for those of you that have just missed, obviously we spoke about Mason Mount. You know, again, Mason Mount is out injured. You know, and this is criminal. It's criminal that he's out again. As I said before, I've had when I was at Chelsea, I had a pelvic injury when I was in the academy from the ages of 12 to 14, and which meant I had a groin and ankle injury at the same time. So I do understand, you know, if there is a long-standing pelvic injury, because at the time I had a bent pelvis, which caused all these injuries. So if Mason Mount has had has had this pelvic problem, and Man United weren't aware of this, or they were, and still signed him, again, heads need to be rolling for this decision because it's a joke. And yeah, he's got number 7 on his back, 250 grand, and he's injured again. Yeah, criminal. So yeah, we discussed that. Obviously, Antoine Semenyo. Yeah, would you be happy Semenyo being signed for United for between 40 and 60 million? Would he be an ideal signing? You know, as I said, I spoke the other day about being a ball carrier and being a player that gets in between the lines as a left or right 10. You know, for me, Semenyo doesn't naturally fit that position. The likes of Eze and Cunha for me would, but if you want a ball carrier, Semenyo has to be considered, definitely. And then Bruno Fernandes, I said, how he's one player of the month, I'll never know. You know, I've give you the numbers. So if we're talking about March alone, he's had, and I'll read it out for you again if you're just coming in. So March alone, Bruno had 2 goals, and yeah, that's it, 2 goals. Because I don't count the other 2 against Leicester as assists. They're not technically assists. So 2 goals and no assists if we're going to February, 4 games, he got 1 goal, 1 goal and an assist. And yet that's one player of the month. If it's February or if it's March. Joke. And obviously, just talk about Kevin De Bruyne now. Obviously, he's leaving Man City at the end of the season, at the end of his contract. So, guys, what do you think? What do you guys think? Big up Haji View says, by the way, I'm 12. I hope not. I don't want 12-year-olds in my chat, man. Unless you're going to contribute to anything positively, you know. But, yeah, as I said, what do you guys think? Do you think Bruno is worthy of the player of the month? What about Semenyo? You think Semenyo is going to be a good signing for United if they get him in the summer? Do we think Florian Wirtz is the ideal replacement for De Bruyne? And the thing is, I think Man City will spend big, and I think this will be good news for City as a whole, that De Bruyne is leaving at the end of his contract, because I do think that they have to invest in that position. You know, as I said, they got players like Grealish, Foden that can play there, and again, I would play Grealish there, but I'd play Grealish on the left, you know, and then get a Florian Wirtz if I'm Man City. But who knows? Who knows, man? But if I'm them, I'll be looking at that for sure as something to improve. Yeah, guys, any other questions before I wrap? Big up for coming on. Any other questions? Any other wrestling news? How does everyone think that the triple threat match between Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk's gonna go? I think Roman Reigns is gonna win it. I think he's gonna win it, and I think the reason why I think he's gonna win it is because it's gonna be his way back to the top to win that title again, and I think it's gonna create another rivalry between CM Punk and Seth Rollins. I think that rivalry might get reignited, you know. Who knows? They might even do a Hell in a Cell match. Who knows? But yeah, bro, I'm big up gamer. Yeah, I'm watching it on Netflix, man. That's where I watch it now. But yeah, obviously it's gonna be interesting. That's what I will say. Haji Yu says, would you fight with Goku for $1 trillion? Yeah, good one, man. But guys, yeah, big up for everyone coming on. As I said, big up Reluctant Gamer every time. You know, big up everyone else for coming on as well, putting in your comments. There was some weird ones, but it is what it is. As long as you're not disrespectful, then you will be blocked by my mod. So, but yeah, big up for coming on. As I said, if you haven't smashed that like button on the way out, make sure you do. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel at Gav Goes In, make sure you do as well. And yeah, I'll probably be back tomorrow. You know, if I might be back today if there's any other news breaking. Yeah, big up Haji View, man. Yeah, big up, man. You're coming in with some positive talk now. Which is what I like to see. But yeah, big up yourself, man. As I said, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Make sure you smash that like button. And I'm going to catch you guys possibly tomorrow. If not, if anything breaks later today, I'll be back on, man. But big up yourselves for coming on. Take it easy.